Let's talk sex, cannabis, and yoga.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yoga. I'm Shannon, the founder of Weed Mama, a brand that I founded to educate women, especially, on how to use cannabis from a more wellness perspective. So, teaching you how to use cannabis to feel good. And one of the main reasons that brought me to cannabis was my sex life, was sex. So, this is a topic that's near and dear to my heart.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Danielle Simone Brand. I wrote the book Weed Mom. I'm a cannabis journalist and, media maker around these ideas of cannabis and motherhood and how we're integrating into society and normalizing cannabis use for moms. Back a few years ago when I was writing my book, I interviewed you, and specifically we talked about sex because, I was drawn to your blog and, your social media where you really do talk about it a lot. After motherhood, like, it changes and your body changes, your hormones are definitely in flux a lot. I speak to a lot of women and moms. Well, I speak to a lot of moms who tell me that, after kids, sex was different or sex was more challenging. I mean, that's definitely the case for me too. In those early years, it's like, just like the sheer, like, unrelenting physicality of raising children,
Yeah.
For a lot of us, it's like, that's enough touch, or you just feel like you don't feel like your body is your own for a while. But like, just rediscovering yourself as a mother, as a sexual being and a mother, as at that stage in life is, like, that's a journey.
Cannabis, I've always found that it's a nice, like, it gets you into your body and it makes you feel like it brings down those kind of walls that we put up because we're constantly having to be on as mothers, and it kind of brings us more into ourselves. I find
cannabis brings me much more, like you said, into my body, into the moment, into the senses. Like, food tastes better, obviously, and massage feels better. Like, sensual touch feels really good to me with cannabis. So it's just one of those, like, overall enhancers of the way that I feel in my body.
Yeah, and there's science behind it too. Now there's all these articles that have been written, these studies that have been published about how, for women especially, that cannabis actually does increase libido. It helps give you more deeper orgasms. And it helps women who maybe have problems reaching orgasm to be able to have that. So there's definite science behind this. It's isn't just like, oh, it works for me. It actually works for a lot of women.
So, like, what are some of the ways that you like to incorporate cannabis?
Well, I pretty much always take an edible. I find that I wrote a blog article about it last year, but I discovered edibles for sex because I started having pain internally, whereas before it was more externally, like the internal pain was getting bad. So I find that edibles really help with that. Be careful about dose because you don't want to take too much, you get sleepy. So I use a lighter edible, and then I will almost always use an infused lubricant to go on top. So the lubricant I'll put on 20 minutes or half an hour before we have sex because it needs that time to absorb and work. And then I'll also dry or vaporize on top of that a little bit as well.
I am more of a smoking cannabis kind of person. I know that's not everybody's cup of tea, but that's really what works for me well. And I have a strain that is kind of my go-to if I have it in stock, if I can get a hold of it. Sour diesel really does help me get in the mood. I don't know what it is about the particular terpenes, and I have to say it's not like every sour diesel I've ever tried that has like been that magic button where I'm like, yeah, it's time. But if I'm already in the mood, it's really enhancing, and it can actually help me get in the mood too if I'm not. So I, take a few puffs of that. I also like to use the topicals, the serums and the lubes, and infused with THC usually, and or CBD as well. I don't really have pain, thankfully. And so for me, it's just like it's a sensation enhancer. And also, like, as, a woman in my 40s, like, lube is essential just generally. Like, let's get that out of the way,
Yeah. Kind of is.
When I accepted that, and I was like, oh yeah, it's not like a cop out. It makes it better, yes, to lube. So I'm, pro that. And then sometimes I'll also microdose some edibles as well. Just, a couple of milligrams kind of like helps with that body relaxation for me.
Yeah.
Tend to like hit the body a little bit differently.
For the people watching who are thinking, "Ooh, I'd really like to try this, but my partner is against cannabis or has real negative feelings around it." Like, what would your thoughts be on introducing cannabis to a partner who might be hesitant towards it?
Yeah, I mean, that's an important one. And, honestly, I tell the story in my book about how my husband used to consume cannabis and doesn't anymore. And I didn't really before, and now I do. So we did a little switcheroo there. And I think it comes down to communicate. Tell your partner how and why it helps, like in what ways it helps you. A supportive partner will usually want to help you feel better, right? Want to, be supportive of something that helps you feel good. And if you explain the ways that, it helps you just be in your mind, be a little more centered in your mind and body, be more, open and receptive to sex potentially, like that's a win for a lot of partners. But, I just say, start with the conversation. You can always incorporate cannabis in ways that are less like obvious. If your partner doesn't like the smell of smoke, for instance, using edibles or vaporizing is a good way.
Yeah, I like those suggestions. I definitely think, you do have to have an open conversation and explain why you want to use it. Another option too is using something that's infused, like a lubrication. And some people might have a worry that it'll get on their body and get into their bloodstream. So that isn't a worry to have, but I can see why some people would be worried about that, something like that. So that is definitely something you would have to discuss with your partner. But I think too, it's your body, and if you feel the need to, take something that will help you to relax, then it is your body, and you have the right to do that. It's different when it's something like a lube because that does touch their body, and so there is that. But I would say for something that you're consuming yourself, they really have the conversation. But I do believe in it's your body and your choice.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk yoga. Like, you've been a yoga instructor, so I have never tried yoga before having sex. So this is really interesting to me, and I'm gonna have to try it now next time. So let's talk about that. Like,
yeah, well, yoga has some of the same benefits as cannabis, actually, in the sense that it relaxes you. It helps, promote circulation. Cannabis is a vasodilator, and that helps for women in our, genitals and reproductive area. And yoga is, promotes circulation, promotes, sense of relaxation, sense of being present in the body, really like noticing sensation. Mindfulness, is another way that we talk about that. And these things all can really enhance intimacy, connection, sexual experience. And then, the yoga that I'm going to lead us through today is like very simple. It's not, intense power yoga or anything, but it's designed to open up the hip area, specifically the hips and pelvis, to specifically bring more circulation there and more sensation. More blood flow is a good thing for us. And really, yoga and cannabis work synergistically. I tell the story in my book about how my first real adult experience with cannabis was right on my yoga mat. And I just felt like it was the perfect combination. And I still do, because, they do many of the same things, but they also do some different things that complement each other and make the whole experience richer.
Well, let's get started then, shall we? You do some little yoga.
Yeah.
Let's see what's some good sexy yoga.
Get the body ready. So, if you're at home and you wanted to do this before intimacy, then I would recommend, now or even a little bit earlier, if you're taking an edible, to start your consumption so that you can really, start to tune in. I also recommend mindful consumption. So only taking the dose that, is appropriate for you in the moment to feel relaxed and yet still awake and aware and, able to fully participate in this experience.
Danielle is doing it on the bed because this particular yoga routine is to be on your bed, correct?
Absolutely. Yes. It's
Okay.
designed to be like forgiving and gentle, and doing yoga on a bed is like so chill. I love it.
I've never done it on a bed, but now I'm going to have to.
All right. So let's start by bringing sitting down on the ground or the bed or the futon or wherever you're at, and just stretch your legs out for a moment. Maybe give your legs a little squeeze, a little rub down for a second, wake up those long muscles. And then bring the soles of your feet together. You don't have to bring them really, really close. You can have a little gap here and just relax your knees outwards. Soften the groins, the pelvis, the inner thighs, and hold on to your feet as you breathe in. Get nice and tall. Chest open. As you exhale, softly fold forward. Now, initially in this, we're going to keep the back straight, like we're leading with the chest and drawing the chest towards the toes or even past the toes. So this is a little bit more active version of this pose, bound angle or Baddha Konasana. Let's take a deep belly breath in here. And let it out. And now on this exhalation, you can begin to soften a little bit more. So let your head kind of drift down. Allow your jaw to soften and relax. And we'll take 2 more really, really deep breaths here. Imagine that breath is going all the way down to your belly and even your pelvis when you breathe in. And relax your entire belly, pelvis, heart center as you breathe out. When you're ready, start to lift your head first. And then really, really slowly, you're going to start to rise, coming with a straight back from the place that you're able to do that. Good. And with your hands behind you, set your feet flat for a moment. And just give them a little swish.
Oh, yeah. Those are some tight hips that I have.
Good. Well, I mean, good for doing that at least. All right. Now, come down to your back, wherever that's comfy for you. And, tight hips really can contribute to, tightening and lack of blood flow right in our pelvis area. So, again, this can be really, really helpful for getting ready for sex and just having a good, healthy circulation in our pelvic area in general. All right, let's cross the left leg over the right. So there's like a big triangular gap between the legs. Good. And then pick your right foot up off the floor and hold on to that leg. It could be the thigh. It could be the shin, whatever is easily within your reach. And just gently draw the legs in toward you. Good. Again, when you breathe in, let your belly rise. So we call this abdominal breathing or diaphragmatic breathing in yoga. And it signals the body to activate the parasympathetic response. And what that is it's the rest and digest response in the body, as opposed to the fight or flight, the cortisol fueled, adrenaline fueled mode that many of us are in much of the time. So diaphragmatic breathing, belly breathing helps to quiet that down. One more really deep belly breath here. Sends the signal to the nervous system that it's okay to let go. Good. When you're ready, release and switch sides. Cross the right ankle, gently encourage the knee away from you as you pick up the left foot, and then wrap your hands either around the thigh or the shin. Little tip here for the knee. So in this case, we're stretching the right hip, and so we want to protect the right knee by flexing the right foot a little bit. That means just pull the toes back towards your shin and hold it there lightly so that your knee is more stable. And we'll take a couple more deep belly breaths. Feel into those sensations all around your hips and pelvis. One more. Release as you're ready. Good. And then set your feet about hip distance, maybe a little wider apart on the floor, and let the knees swish again side to side like we did while seated. And if it feels good to you, stretch your arms up over your head when you do this and reach or clasp those fingers and just stretch long through your side body and your abdomen, if you've got the room. Good. And one more time each way, really dip those knees to the side, let your hips follow. Good. And roll those knees all the way over to the right side, entire body to the right, and we'll push up to seated. Coming to sit cross-legged again. And if you have a sexy playlist or a yoga-y playlist at home, this could be a great time to use it. Or we're going to include it. Here we go. We're going to undulate the upper body. So you can start as small as you like, and we're going to gradually grow the circle wider. And there's no right or wrong, no, particular form we're looking for, just movement. So let your head, your neck, and your whole spine start to come into this movement. So it's a big, expansive flow. Good. Couple more of these. Can you make your circle even bigger, even more expressed as you breathe deep, deep down into that belly and pelvis once again. Gonna reverse that circle because in yoga and hopefully in life we're looking for that balance. Good. So again, you can play with the circle, big, medium, small. Find your way through the movements. Head and neck just flowing naturally along with it. And get that deep belly breath going. Couple words about belly breathing. We female identified folks, women, often feel a desire to suck in our tummies. And
yeah, that's what I'm doing right now.
No, don't do it. Let that tummy be. Good. One more big circle here. Yeah, but we can't breathe really deeply if we're constantly holding tension there. So what we're looking for here, you can come to the center here, come to stillness. Let your eyes close a moment. Restore that deep, steady breathing. When we can allow our bodies, our bellies to be naturally as they are, looking to be strong, flexible, and relaxed all at the same time in our bodies, they're going to take different shapes. And that is something that as a yoga teacher, I truly celebrate. And I hope that all of us moms can get rid of that shame around our tummies and our bellies, especially after giving birth. They change, and that's really okay. And I'm going to get off my soapbox and continue. All right. One more thing I wanted to get into here is table pose. So if you are familiar with yoga classes in North America, we usually say table pose looks like this, right? Hands and knees, wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. And take a moment to just start to move similarly to what we were doing while seated. So there's sort of an undulating or flowing, rotating feeling here. And maybe as you continue, close your eyes. Nobody can see you. If your eyes are closed, no one can see you. Just right.
They can all see us. That's weird.
And make it bigger. Make this movement as big and expressed and full and alive as you can. So that might look like circles. That might look like you're just holding somewhere a moment. You might, if you're on a bed especially, drop your thighs toward a little upward facing dog, gentle upward dog, little child's pose, whatever feels good, honestly, in this moment is what you want to give your body. And another couple of deep breaths here. And to end this practice, this little baby yoga practice, let's come down onto our backs one more time. This is the easiest place to feel belly breath. So you could have feet flat, make a fence. You could have soles of the feet together, knees apart. Much more comfy on a bed than the floor.
Yeah, and especially if you're against a wall, so.
Or you could just have your legs out straight, truly whatever's comfortable to lie down. Let your eyes close. Let your hands rest on your belly. Yes, your belly. And as you inhale, let it softly rise under your hands. As you exhale, let it soften. Continuing at your pace of breath, but a little slower, a little deeper than your everyday breath. Sense the aliveness in your body. Feel, notice what's happening in your hips, in your belly, in your pelvis. Do you perhaps notice a little warmth, a little more openness, relaxation? Where can you relax just a little more deeply? And then keeping one hand right there on the belly, draw your other hand up to your heart center. So just center of the breastbone. And breathe into your hands. So as you inhale, belly, rib cage, and chest rise. And as you exhale, they soften and release. Keeping the sense of ease and softness in your body. Allow your eyes to flutter open again. And when you're ready, roll over to one side. and gently bring yourself up to seated. Seated.
Seated.
All right, hands to heart. Namaste.
Well, this is great. Thank you so much for showing us how to do a bit of yoga before sexy time.
So you can find me at DanielleSimoneBrand.com and also on Instagram at Danielle Simone Brand and Weed Mom Book. My book can be found all the places online that you buy books, like the big A that I don't have to say. Or you could ask your local bookseller to stock it, which is always a lovely thing.
Forward to it. You can find me at weedmama.ca. I'm going to put the link for Danielle's book down. We're going to have the link for Danielle's book down in the description. Also, Danielle's website and all the relevant links you need to look at for upcoming things that we will be doing together. It's great to meet other women in the space who are very like-minded and that we can collab with. We definitely want more moms to feel comfortable and safe and feel like cannabis is this approachable thing that you can incorporate into your life so that you can enhance your sex life, so that you can feel good.
Absolutely, because when we moms are happy and healthy, we can parent to our best, and we deserve that. Our kids deserve that, and we can create a better world together.
Absolutely, and we deserve it. We deserve to feel good. Thank you, Danielle, for leading us. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Do subscribe. Do visit Danielle's website and share this video and support moms in cannabis. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.